It was not on my to-do list.
There was no grand plan, I will tell you that.
Yeah, we had no idea what we were doing.
Even at 11, I understood how audacious this was.
I was going to say, who starts a synagogue? Crazy people start synagogues. It was just like jumping off a cliff.
In the very, very beginning, when we were just thinking about it, when it was just a dream.
We wanted a place that was going to feed our souls spiritually and intellectually.
Some meaningful community for our family.
To have a place for my children to find a moral framework.
Growing up in the 60s, I'd always dreamed of a synagogue that would reflect the 60s.
That would have integrity, that would have some accountability, some surprises, some awesomeness.
Every so often in one's life, if you're lucky, you have this moment in your life that you realize presents kind of an opportunity.
There was a group of us who had kids that are about to be bar and bat mitzvahed.
We were crazily going from synagogue to synagogue, shul to shul.
We couldn't find what we were looking for.
It didn't exist.
Wow, what if we kind of tried to start something? Would anybody come?
Los Angeles needed something like this, and I think a bunch of us together, had the audacity to think that we could create it.
Even if the way that we thought about doing Jewish was very different. And that's what allowed us to do the magic trick that became IKAR.
I had come out to LA just a year before, and I was desperate for a community. I'd even thought that we should try to start a community, but it did not click until this group of founders and I met.
That first meeting where there was a few of us in the room and Rabbi Brous came, and she was a 29-year-old rabbi who looked about 14, and she started to speak, and I think all of us were a little stunned.
Listening to her that evening and each meeting that we had getting a little bit larger and bringing more people into it, I just had this overwhelming feeling of, I want us to build this together.
It was a rabbi plus individuals that were really looking for the same thing.
It felt to me like it was the genesis of a community.
And it became, of course, this is what we're doing. We will not let you fail, Sharon.
So after we'd met a few times, we thought, hey, what's her service like? Like, what does she do? And so we decided to have a service.
We expected 25 people to show up, 30 people to show up to my acting coach's old studio.
Paula and Nan and Lynn and Melissa got there hours early and were setting up the most gorgeous display of like fresh fruit and crudité and crackers and cheese. And I just thought, like, really, that's very sweet, but it's literally gonna be 20 people.
And 125, 130 people showed up.
I just remember people coming in and coming in and coming in.
And we just prayed together. We sang, we cried. It was really one of the most moving nights of my life.
It was kind of like a crazy, magical alchemy that happened that night.
I just remember the engagement, the warmth, the connection that was going on there.
It was really the first time that I had ever been in a prayer space that actually activated that spiritual prayer space center of your brain.
David and I were walking home afterwards and pushing her home in the stroller, and we were just dead silent and like so moved by this experience. And finally, I turned to him and I said, did that just happen?
We really felt at that point that this was it, and that we could go on and really create a whole community.
So we do Friday nights that summer. It's just Friday nights, and it's short and sexy and easy and great, and the music, and we're building.
And then all of a sudden, after a couple of services, Sharon says, well, why don't we do the high holidays?
We do not have the muscle to have this deep dive encounter yet as a community. And yet it's High Holy Days, and we absolutely have to do it.
This was not a well-oiled machine.
It was clearly a bunch of people scurrying around at the last minute to try and pull off something that was way beyond the capacity that we currently had.
There were hundreds of people.
400 people came to High Holy Days that year.
There were so many people there.
Where over 500 people showed up.
We had 411 at that first High Holy Days.
And it was incredible. And I was so nervous because how can we create the space so that the observant Jews, the PhDs in Talmud, the rabbis who are there because they want a real davening experience, and the people who are in shul for the first time and have no idea what any of this means are able to have a shared experience.
Lights went off at the end of the service, and we all had candles, and there was something so intensely magical about what was happening in that room.
Seeing the people and seeing tears and feeling the love in the room and realizing this is big.
The High Holy Days were an incredibly powerful deepening of connection and commitment to one another, culminating in the disco breakfast.
While all the parents are fasting and praying and beating their chests, we were in the gym.
We choreographed a dance to play that funky music, White Boy.
I just remember dancing like crazy, like 11-year-old crazy.
We were dancing to it, and I remember everyone kind of turning around and shaking their butts to the music.
Paulette looked at me and said, "This is everything." And it really was, because it was about creating a joyful Jewish experience for our kids.
I think IKAR really gave us the space to figure out what our Judaism looked like.
IKAR has given me a sense of there is safety in spirituality.
I always felt like when I walked into IKAR, I was walking into a second home.
IKAR is always so joyous and warm and accepting.
It's very authentic to itself and to the community that it's created.
It's so powerful. It's really the definition of legacy. And I'm getting goosebumps as I say it.
I was able to witness the birth of a new community and see dedicated people make something happen. That changed the course of my life.
IKAR was rooted in this idea of social justice and like how Judaism can inform the way that we look at the world. And I've always come back to that.
I feel proud to have been a founder in such a profoundly impactful synagogue.
IKAR kind of stands for, I think, a really important proposition, which is if you get a bunch of good, smart people together who give a shit about the world, you can really make a lot of magic.
It's really possible.
I think a small group of us created the world that we wanted for ourselves in this great and complicated city of Los Angeles.
And looking back, it's gonna make me cry a little bit, but it's been an amazing journey.
When I think about that founding crew, I think you were a little bit out of your minds. I don't know why you believed in me, and I don't know why you believed in this. I don't know why I believed in this. But I'm so glad that we did.